And welcome back to the Dynasty Wonderland podcast. Yes, yes, yes. And our Monday night show get you a little Monday night reaction from the the foosball game, a little bit of a Thursday night preview. That's right. All coming to you from the Mad Fantasy Party, the Mad Chatter, Ryan MK, the salary captain, Aaron Stewart. We're here to bring it to you. What's up, buddy? How's it going tonight?
Oh man, doing well. It's Monday night. I can't say that we had quite the same Monday night football game that we've had in previous weeks, but as a Cowboys fan, I'm happy. It was a good win.
I'm having being I'm not going to be, it was my decision, but I do believe my co-host egged me on a little bit to take the Eagles. And I'll be honest, at first I was ready to go. I was about to text you like, hey, this is going to be a fun game. And then things kind of fell apart. And there were definitely some moments for Hurts. But I expected more. But I mean, Dallas is looking damn good. The defense was playing, I got to give them credit. There was plenty of, passes broken up that I saw. And part of me wanted to go, some of the Eagles receivers like hang on to the fucking ball. But hey, also good plays by the defense. So, it was a really good game for the Cowboys. I was hoping to see more out of the Eagles and specifically Jalen Hurts. But again, like that touchdown to Ward where he's just rolling out and he did still had some pretty fucking incredible plays, man. But fantasy wise, Eagles kind of let you down, and Zeke tore it up. He did enough to take me out in one league. In one league, I needed him to just not go completely bananas tonight, and he did. So I ended up losing by a few points. That's all right. We'll bounce back. But yeah, so that was kind of my takeaway of the game. What about you, buddy?
Well, I think I've got a non-fantasy takeaway from this because I was intrigued with this matchup.
Me too.
Because we've only had two games, and both teams had some question marks. For the Eagles, they looked so good in week one, not so good in week two. It's like, what are they? What offensively, what are they? With this type of performance, I hate to say it, not so good. I mean, there's potential. As you mentioned, there are times when Jalen Hurts looks so good, but yes, we go, okay, this is at best maybe a middle of the pack offense. It's not this electrifying offense that we saw in week one. And for the Cowboys, it's weird saying this, and I'm trying not to jinx it. They seem legit. I mean, it wasn't just beating the Eagles; it was putting that type of beat down on them. It was like, okay, they are clearly the team to beat in this division. Now, still got a lot of football to play this season, but I think they showed that road victory against the Chargers, going toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's no fluke. Like, they are a talented team in the NFL. Despite all the injuries, the suspensions, all of this stuff. And some of that just has to go to the play calling. They have, oh, man, I'm blanking on his name. Kellen Moore.
Yes.
Does a great job.
Former quarterback,
former teammate of Dak Prescott, and certainly has to play a part. He just knows how to utilize. He's got a lot of talent on that offense and just utilizes it perfectly.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, you look at tonight, it was a big Zeke night, 95 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He went over 100 all-purpose yards. Dak Prescott, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns. And look at it. Didn't even need CeeDee Lamb, Mari Cooper all that much. Dalton Schultz, 6 receptions, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, well-balanced they did. He's got a lot of weapons. Yeah, there's just and like I said, if they can at least get solid play out of the defense, they're going to be a pain in the ass. They're just going to be, this is a legit team. So I agree with you on that, very much so. And, hopefully we could see more of the Eagles. I do wonder, because I was listening, as I mentioned on the pod last night, I like to listen to my particular NFL shows. And hearing some talk about just and I think you saw some of it on Twitter today and whatnot, but just with Nagy and some of the play calling and the positions that Fields was put in and things like that. And it's just kind of like, yeah, so you do get, there were a couple of times tonight, and I can't say I watched the entire game from start to finish, but I watched the majority of it. And there was just a couple of times where I'm like, you can make this a little easier on him too. So I do feel like that does happen with coaching sometimes. And this guy, and my frustration, I don't know if it goes as far as frustration, but my thoughts on this also kind of go back to the offseason where like it was supposed to be Jalen Hurts and no more Carson Wentz. And then, the Eagles don't seem sold on Hurts and all of this. So it's kind of hard. It's difficult to really get a feel for this when it's like, it doesn't seem like the organization, the team is completely on, like giving him everything he needs to succeed. But again, there's flashes, so we'll see what we get. He's got to know he's got to have a great year for them to not want to replace him. So because that's just kind of the feeling coming from that team. But we'll see what happens with the rest of the year. But the Cowboys, for sure, man, they're going to be a team we're going to be talking about all year long as a contender, right. I think so. Right.
And like I said, it's weird to have optimism because I am admittedly a very pessimistic Cowboys fan because there's been no reason to believe in them for a majority of my time supporting the Cowboys. It's always been one thing after another. That's why anyone that's watching the video and they're like, wait a minute, is that a Kansas City Chiefs hat? Yes, because the Cowboys were so bad that I had to have a secondary team in an opposite conference to root for that I used in Madden way before Patrick Mahomes. So, cut out that crap of the bandwagon stuff. So don't even go there, YouTube audience. And speaking of YouTube, if you're not already, you should subscribe to the show. The subscribes help.
Yeah, there you go.
And the YouTube channel, it's under your name, I believe, right?
Yes.
The Mad Chatter, Ryan MK.
And I'm going to try and do something about that because I'm going to try and push a lot of my my other stuff, my more comedy-driven stuff, which, by the way, you can check out my other podcast, the Miscellaneous Debris podcast, where I just rant and rave about certain shit and I'm starting every episode, I'm going to have a top 5 list. I'm going to do a top 5 countdown of some sorts just because so many shows do it. So in part to make fun of everything, the whole idea, but also because they're kind of fun. I'm not going to lie, they're kind of fun. So next episode, my top 5 comedians going on right now. And I might even have a bonus top 3 of my personal faves of all time. So going to do a little bit of that. But anyway, I digress. Back to the football shit. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to try and get it to a point where that's more separated, so I can kind of keep our stuff from my stuff. Because now it's even with Twitter, I just need to create another account because people get in such an uproar if you're fantasy football and you talk about not fantasy football, for fuck's sake. Oh my god. So anyway, yes, good game. Let's move on. Before we move on to Thursday night preview, we're gonna be doing a little more content to throw out there for you people. So instead of really discussing waiver wire on these Monday night shows, Aaron is gonna do a bit of a captain's cabin waiver wire, and we're gonna, he's gonna be pumping that out over the next. Well, I guess it'd have to be tomorrow, huh? Yeah. You get it to me, we'll get it up ASAP.
Right. Like when we sign out, I'm just going to turn right around. So people that watch the show, they're going to be like, Aaron, you're wearing the same thing. And you know what? Don't judge.
So we're going to have this pod. We're going to have the waiver wire. And then also tomorrow, I should get to it, but I'm also going to try and do an infirmary-based little 5-minute video kind of long, right along with the waiver wired episode. And that way you get a little thoughts on injuries earlier in the week, and then at the end of the week you can check out my infirmary report from the Roto Underworld. That's right, check it out on playerprofiler.com. You can check out Aaron's content as well. He's got all sorts of stuff, and then he'll also be doing the waiver wired again, and then the captain's cabin. He'll be throwing new episodes of that up every once in a while as well. So lots of stuff coming. But we'll mention real quick before we get into a Thursday night preview and get out of here. Few key injuries this week. Christian McCaffrey, hamstring. Also hamstring, A.J. Brown. Now, it doesn't sound like McCaffrey's going on the injured reserve at the moment, but we'll have more on that. We'll keep going with that as the week goes on. James White, hip injury, disappear. He is IR bound. And that's unfortunate. We all love James White, and at his age, this this could be about it for him or close to. So Gronk also out with the ribs injury, as well as Juju Smith-Schuster, who's got some rib issues himself. So some key names to keep an eye on through the week. And again, we'll update you more with the infirmary video, waiver wired video, and pay attention to playerprofiler.com throughout the week as well. So Thursday night. Boy, we were really lucky early on in the year to get all those good primetime games, huh?
Oh yeah.
Because it's dwindled a little bit.
Yeah, and week 4, it's going to be pretty bad for those that are like me, where usually the focus is so much on like this week and getting the content, getting the wide receiver quarterback matchups, getting the Monday Night Football. It's like, oh yeah, who's playing this Thursday? Oh, you got to be kidding me! The Jaguars and Bengals, and we're obligated to watch it. Oh. Well, maybe surprised by this game, but on the surface, I'm not too thrilled. I mean, maybe watching the Urban Meyer dumpster fire in real time, because I'll admit, I haven't watched a single Jaguars game, a single Bengals game, because there's been just nothing to really root for, to watch for in those. But that's just me. That's just me. I'll find something in this game. What about you? Is there anything that you're going to be looking for in this game?
Well, I got a few things. I am kind of interested, because it is kind of fun seeing this whole situation with the Jaguars and Urban Meyer. But I also I like the Bengals, and I want to see more of them and what they can do. And I was impressed with that. Even though I picked it to happen, I was impressed how good they looked against the Steelers. Yeah. Even though I feel like Burrow could have done a little bit more. But I'd like to see. The only thing that worries me about this with the Bengals, and I will pick the Bengals, by the way. The only thing that worries me about this is, certain teams they get that big win, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's like a come down, like a letdown game. This happens to the Vikings every time they're in the playoffs. It's like, oh my God, we won a playoff game, woo! And then the next week they just get smashed. And so that's my only fear, is that a bit of a trap game. But if all goes according to plan, the Bengals should take care of the Jaguars, and they should do it in good fashion. Now, I do have my eyes on James Robinson for the Jaguars, because I still have him rostered in a handful of leagues. And, I was a little worried as the season started out, but you can see in week 3, James Robinson, 15 carries, 88 yards, a touchdown, 6 receptions off of 6 targets for 46 yards. Carlos Hyde, no receptions, just 8 carries for 44 yards. So Urban Meyer has at least done one fucking smart thing and realized his best bet at running back with no Travis Etienne is in fact a one James Robinson. My friend. Well, not really. I don't know him. But I consider him my friend, just based on the history and yeah. Anyway, so I am excited for James Robinson going forward. I think he's at least got that figured out. And if Urban's gonna stick around, he's gonna have to figure some of this shit out at some point. And the Bengals would be a team where maybe he can start to make a little bit of noise. But We'll just see what happens. I'm not expecting a whole lot out of Urban Meyer, but I do think we can at least count on James Robinson going forward, I think, is my biggest point out of that. So, and again, with the receptions added in, Najee Harris just had a big day against the Cincinnati defense. So, James Robinson could too. But that's kind of my things. I'm taking the Bengals. So I've got some minor interest in the game. But, overall, I agree with you. This is kind of, we'd like a little more on our primetime games.
Certainly. And I do actually have a pretty notable fantasy takeaway on this one, because there was some news today, some transaction news today. And anyone that follows me on Twitter, as the salary captain, like I keep track of these transactions, because this was a rarity. You don't usually see a player for player trade.
Oh, yes, I know where you're going.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Because the Jaguars, the Jaguars are waving the white flag. And this was not totally surprising because there was rumors in the offseason that they were shopping CJ
Yes.
Henderson. The weird thing on this is they just drafted him. I want to say he was a top 10 pick last year. And they trade him for Dan Arnold and a third-round pick, while also having a fifth-round pick too. And Henderson was the only halfway decent cornerback they had. So T. Higgins on a short week maybe doesn't play this week, but they may not need him. I mean, Jamar Chase and his 4 receiving touchdowns in 3 games.
They didn't need him against Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And they may, as weird as it is, because I usually don't like to get behind players that are on like a multi-game streak with touchdowns, but how is it going to stop with Jamar Chase? They just traded probably the only corner that could do anything
Right.
to stop him. And you know what? Just on the surface, without really looking at rankings, I'm like, start Jamar Chase, start Tyler Boyd. You could do a whole lot worse in that, but really, really weird. And I don't even know if Dan Arnold's going to play. Like he just got traded today. Right. And I don't know, because usually they have to go and do like a physical and everything. So kind of going off the assumption that he's not going to be a part of the team. And I know it's not really Thursday Night Football, but I do have to mention that's just one small thing. Terrace Marshall season. Right? Getting rid of Dan Arnold on the Carolina side, that's 4 to 5 targets. It's Terrace Marshall season.
For sure. I love that.
But this trade it will be interesting to see Jacksonville attempt defense. They actually did a solid job against Arizona.
Yeah, they had some.
Home.
Yeah. I mean, Kyler didn't go bonkers.
Right, the score did not really indicate their defensive performance. I think there was pick 6 in there, something like that. But yeah, this game, there's at least 2 young quarterbacks that should. Trevor Lawrence, is this the game where he finally puts it together? Because he hasn't had that big game. It's been a lot of multi-interception games. So Cincinnati's defense is okay. It's okay. That's really all I could say. It'd be nice to see Trevor Lawrence maybe have his big game.
It would be nice.
Yeah. But besides that, the running backs, James Robinson, you mentioned, Joe Mixon's going to get all the touches. So
there's definitely some fantasy appeal, I would say. And that's always going to get my interest a little bit. But again, the fear is, it's the Jags, and could it be a blowout, or maybe the Bengals are down to their level of competition because, like I said, huge win coming out of Pittsburgh. Right. So who knows? But maybe we're in for a surprise because the Jags got to make some noise. They got to do something. And right. I think the Bengals, if they're on, they could be fun to watch. I was intrigued by the offense in the offseason. And I feel like they're off to a good start. And, I'd like to see how this team progresses during the offseason. It's the Bengals, man. Here we go. The Bengals. They're here. They're playing well. So I want to see how it goes. Because really, the one game they lost was pretty close. They're very close to being 3-0,
Right.
So and being at the top of the division, actually. So, this is definitely a team I think to watch. But yes, sir. That's what I got. That's all I got. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. It's I said, can't really say I'm an expert on either one of those teams. So, the positive on this one, I'm going to watch these teams play and get a better feel for what they are, besides being mediocre to straight up horrible teams.
I do think there's a bit of an advantage to kind of because it's one thing to see all the numbers, but to actually see some of the stuff on the field and how the numbers get to where they are is kind of nice. And when you get some of these, particularly Thursday night games with just these, lesser seen teams, it is kind of nice to be able to just watch them a bit. And,
right.
Who knows? Maybe my mind will completely flip on Urban Meyer and the Jaguars after Thursday. You never know. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely, but you never know. So, all right, good sir. Excellent chat. Excellent chat. Let's get out of here, my friend. Because, yeah, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to go record another podcast. You're going to go hit up some waiver wired, and we're just nonstop. We just keep going, folks. Man,
And
Cavs,
speaking of the
you.
podcasts, you can find us on Spotify, Castbox, really anywhere. Every app that plays podcasts, I've seen our Dynasty Wonderland podcast. That's where the Captain's Cabin's going to be. It's where all these podcasts are going to be. So, not just YouTube. I mean, please subscribe on YouTube. It does help. It helps subscribe to the podcast. We're going to be bringing some content. We're going to try to bring some good stuff too. When I do waiver wire picks, like I may point out some obvious ones, but I'm not going to spend much time. I like these articles I do with wide receiver cornerbacks, like the Manny Sanders. I'm trying to find maybe some diamonds in the rough. So guys pick up maybe even some long-term guys. So can't wait to record that podcast and bring it to the audience, bring it to the Wonderland.
Indeed. And if you're a believer in the pod, a listener to the pod, a fan of the pod, please also do. I know Apple, the Apple podcast at least has it where you can follow and you can rate and you can comment, hook us the fuck up, get us some stars, you know what I'm saying? Drop some good comments, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we need. Let's kind of keep building this thing up. So good thing to mention, Aaron. Yes. Good stuff to mention. All right. We're getting the hell out of here. I hope everyone has a good week. We will chat Thursday evening, which you probably won't hear till Friday morning. So until then, welcome to the Salary Captain, the Mad Chatter. We're out of here. For now. Just for now. Bye-bye.